A very good morning to all our honorable dignitaries present here. Our mentor, Mrs. Mohta, our principal, Ma'am Shaha, our vice principal, Ma'am Ghosh, our coordinators, teachers, our dear parents, and my friends. Our ancestors grew up and died in a world surrounded by trees. As the generations went on, knowledge and awareness about this heaven and its advantages were passed on to their successors, and they began wasting it for their own benefit. Now, this heaven is on the verge of becoming hell, as the trees are now endangered. Ever since we are 5 years old, we have been hearing about the devastating effects of destruction that mankind has been causing to the equilibrium of Earth. In our schools, we are taught about the situation and how to prevent it, but what for? We ignore the very fact that we need the trees for our survival. They always provide us with our necessities and never ask for anything in return. Can we be like that? The beauty of nature is a topic of discussion amongst authors, poets, and general mankind. Yet mankind is latched onto its destruction. Today, we present you a sight that is unique. The ever so quiet trees are going to speak from themselves, and they are going to debate in the Parliament of Trees. They speak, for now they have to. They speak for their survival. Presenting before you the Parliament of Trees.
Mummy, where are you? Come quickly. Mummy, come and see what I've done.
What's the matter, darling? Are you hurt? Why are you crying?
Oh, Mummy, see what they've done. Look what they've done to the whole man tree.
Oh no, how could they? It was such a beautiful tree. It's no use crying, Abhi. There's nothing you can do about it.
Tell them to stop. Please, they're killing him. Please tell them to stop. They'll listen to you.
No, they won't, Abhi. It's not our land. It's not our tree. I heard that the Roys were selling their land and a multi-storied building was going up. Abhi, trees have to be cut down. People have to live and houses have to be built. Perhaps when the new building is ready, there'll be many young people and you will make lots of new friends. Come on, Abhi, smile. Soon there'll be lots of friends with whom you can play football.
I had a friend. The best friend one could ever have. Now, he's dead. They killed him.
Now you're being silly, Abhi. How can a tree be a friend? You're a boy. You need friends of your own age. Not some silly old tree you claim talks to you.
He was not a silly old tree. He was my friend and he did talk to me. When you and Papa were out at night, who do you think looked after me? I was never afraid because I knew old man was there and he would let nothing harm me. I don't like football. Just because Papa used to play it when he was a boy doesn't mean I have to play. I don't like football. I don't want you friends. Trees can be friends. An old man was my friend. You have killed him.
Stop shouting immediately. You're not a baby anymore. I'm ashamed of you. I'll tell you what. If Papa isn't too late back from office, we'll go and see Grandma. You'd like that, won't you?
I won't forget what they did to you, old man. I would never forget, no matter how old I become. How can grown-ups know how tree can be a friend? They think they know everything, but they don't understand anything. For 5 years now, old man has looked after me. We came here when I was very young. We had this large banyan tree in the next garden. At night, the shadows of its branches would fall across my bed. I was so frightened. I hid under my bedclothes. Then, after a week or so, I heard a tapping on my window pane. A soft voice said, "Would you like to hear a story?" I peeked out, and it was the branch of the tree talking to me. His soft voice, like the rustle of leaves, said, "Come on, son, let's be friends." And from that time, we were. What wonderful stories he told me every night. And through all these days, he's listened to all my problems. Now, they've killed my best friend. What can I do? What can any child do against grown-ups? They never listen to you. If ever you tell them something important, you know what do they say? "Oh, Don't be silly. But of course, they are never silly. Even though all they talk about is the marks and grades we get. They don't really care if we like what we learn in school or we don't. I have learned more from the old man than I ever learned in class. I'm sorry, old man, for what they've done to you. Isn't there anything I can do? Please tell me. Please.
What we have here is the trees sitting in a mock parliament that has a striking resemblance to the UN that we know today. The term United Nations or UN was coined by United States President Franklin D. Roosevelt and was first used in the declaration by United Nations on January 1st, 1942 during the Second World War. This intergovernmental organization aims to promote international cooperation and peace. It was established on 24th October 1945 after the World War II as a replacement for League of Nations in order to prevent another of such a conflict. At its founding, the UN had 51 member states and now there are 193. The headquarters of this organization is located in Manhattan, New York City. Similar to the UN, we have the Parliament of Trees. Each tree here represents their nationality and they talk about the wrongs being done to them in their countries and they think about a solution.
Honorable delegates to the Parliament of Trees, this is an emergency session of the General Assembly. It is with a heavy heart I welcome you all here.
Hello.
I'm sure you all are aware of the great tragedy that has brought us all here this evening. In case some of the delegates who live in far-flung lands have not heard the reason for this meeting, I will repeat the cause. Our Eastern Zone General Secretary, the noble Banyan, whom many of you knew as Old Man Tree, was assassinated last evening at his home in Salt Lake, Calcutta, India. A band of heartless human beings cut him down with bulldozers. The reason they gave was progress, but we know the reason they killed so many of our kind is their greed. I now call upon some senior members to say a few words. The venerable people from India.
Friends, as our Universal Secretary, A. Old Oak, has already told you, we meet here tonight for a very sad reason. I knew Old Man well. We often talked about the problems being faced by the trees in our subcontinent. For centuries, men have waged war upon our kind. In the ancient times, when men were not so great, it was our tribe which hid him from the hunger of the animals. And when the great sheets of ice covered the earth, it was we who gave them our skin to cover themselves from the cold, our branches to light fires, our fruits and leaves to eat, to stay alive. But then, men became cunning. They then discovered the value of trees, and they killed us without a thought or a word of gratitude. That is the way of men, and that is why they have killed Old Man Banyan. My heart is heavy. I now call upon his friends from the USA, the giant redwood, to say a few words.
Friends, our wise and noble Banyan is dead, but we cannot spend our time mourning because we have to work out how we trees are to survive. I'm sure everyone present here is aware that the great danger facing us is the death of the trees, the total disappearance of our nation of trees at the hands of men. I ask you, friends and fellow delegates, to think clearly and quickly of what we can do to stop this slaughter of trees. How can we make men realize the evil they are doing? How can we make them stop? These are the answers we must find tonight.
Friends, the session is now open to the floor for your suggestions.
The regional head of our area, Big Tuan Ironwood, was unable to attend this special session because the tropical forest to which I belong in Malaya has been suffering terrible destruction at the hands of men. We are under siege. Tuan Ironwood felt his presence was more important than here. He has asked me to send his deepest sympathy for Old Man Banyan's clan. He has also asked me to give you his ideas as to how we can fight this danger.
We appreciate his concern for his people of the tropical rainforest in Asia. We welcome you, Delegate Rubber Tree, and ask you to give us the message from Big Tuan Ironwood.
Big Tuan said that while in Malaysia, he had noticed that when men want people to think like them or make other people do what they want them to do, they have a peculiar system. It is called advertising.
Can you tell us, old oak?
It's not a word I've never heard. I've heard it spoken about a lot in Europe, but I have never really understood what it means. Perhaps Big Chief Redwood can tell us, since it was really practiced in a big way in America.
Well, it's not a nice system. It's peculiar. It's all right for shameless men. But for us trees, I'm not too sure. It means telling the world how great or important you are. Yes, I agree, delegate people. We trees are brought up on the idea of service, and that we do not talk about. But times have changed, my friend. The world is not what it used to be. Now, menfolk talk openly how much better than each other they are. That is how men prosper.
Shame, shame.
True, but that is the way they are growing and winning, while we who keep silent are dying. We tree folk are silent servants in the cause of all life on earth. This ugly way of men should not be our way. Perhaps Delegate Rubber Tree can tell us better.
Big Tuan said, tell them what you can do. Tell them how important you are.
I don't understand. How will my telling men that I am kind make any difference to them? I'm so frightened.
Really, Willow? Why do you always weep? Tears won't make any difference, you know. You really are a sissy.
But I'm frightened. For me, every schoolboy who walks by me makes me nervous. To him, I'm a dozen cricket bats.
You really are silly. Cricket bats are not important.
If they aren't, then why are they killing us off? I don't think you know. I'm frightened.
You really are a dreadful crybaby.
If the Honorable Oak San would let me speak a few words.
Of course, gracious lady. The Lady Cherry Tree, the delegate from Japan.
Honored delegates, I think we must be a little more gentle with each other and turn to the important job before us. I know we cherry trees are not in any danger from men. Where I come from, our tribe is well looked after. Men have even made a festival in our honor. Fruit trees are lucky because men do not attack us too much. But because we are lucky, we must let our less fortunate fellow trees know that we are on your side. We must act as peacemakers between trees and other trees and between men and trees. I would remind you that in all this talk, we have forgotten the great wise words of Big Tuan advertising.
Quite. I must thank the gracious lady delegate from Japan for reminding us. I think we better ask Chief Redwood what we should do.
I have noticed there are two kinds of advertisements. Those that promise wonderful things and those that frighten men into some things. I'm not really sure what works better, so we'll have to try a little of both. All of you have to make a list of all important things you do for men. Remember, whatever we have to say must be very short. Men are always busy and do not have too much time to read something too long. Whatever we have to say must be said in the shortest possible way.
My friends, I have seen much of this world and of men. They frighten easily. Make them realize how important we are for them, that without us, they cannot live. If they cut off all the trees, then the earth would die, and with it, all men. Men love life. They are afraid to die. Am I right, Big Chief?
Yes, venerable people. That's it. I suggest we give the job to Lady Olive of Greece and the Vice Cyril of Lebanon. The rest of us can make our placards.
They say, when first our earth awoke, flung away with an angry shake of our fire-hearted, fire-breathing star. Perhaps in a moment of passing rage, she knew she was alone in the darkness of space.
She wept hot tears that became vapor that hid from her kin her pain. Then her heart softened into gentle rain, and the blue mantle of the ocean wrapped her pain in kindliness.
Then of her tears Mother Earth did raise the dry land, the hill and plain, and for its food she made the tree, the green world, the new world to seed and feed.
The greenness raised its head and breathed, plucked the moisture from the space so deep. The belly-moving snake, the crawling beast, fed upon the green flesh and leaves, and life grew and dreamed into a tapestry.
Then puny man walked upright and tall, proud of his skills, but at nightfall shook upon the ground in fear of beasts. So we cradled him in our arms and leaves, and with our skin was his body sheathed.
We bring you rain, we woo dark clouds, to drop their moisture upon the plain. The silver drops swell river and rill, fill your pitchers and feed your crops.
We cleanse the blues of the poisons you spew from your factory, kilns and burning fields. To fill your lungs with health and joy, we clean the world that you destroy.
Kill the plants and gentle trees, kill the forests in your greed, then choke on foul air and farm dry dust. Watch your world shrivel and burst. Men, you